From the Yas Marina Formula One circuit in Abu Dhabi, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, is the bike industry still in crisis? Last year, we spoke to an industry expert. 1 year on, have things got better or worse?
Plus, electronic cycling shoes. No, we're not joking. 4D bikes, not a joke either. Cross-country mountain biking, still not joking. And breaking climbing records.
That feels a bit more normal, that one.
Yeah. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that the KOM on the world's most popular Strava segment has just been broken.
Yeah, what is the world's most popular Strava segment? Box Hill, just outside London here in the UK. A segment once led by Dan here, sometime in the 19th century, perhaps.
Good one.
Having been towed up by a peloton in a race.
I was in a peloton. My job was to stay with Mark Cavendish that day.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I mean, that's quite a good job, isn't it, really? Anyway, the segment has been ridden by over 150,000 people. But the man now at the top of the table, as of Friday, is Q36.5 Pro Rory Townsend.
Who rode up the 4.7% gradient at an average speed of 32.2 kilometres per hour, over 500 watts for 4 minutes 36 seconds.
Wow.
Must have been particularly annoying though for Dom Jackson, because Dom had broken the record the previous day and that record had stood for 3 years.
Oh, that is cruel. Well, at least you get a shout out, Dom. Right, we also learnt that the world's most expensive saddlebag has just gone on sale. £100 for a Panomal Studios collab with Porter Yoshida.
The perfect accompaniment to the €500 3D printed custom seat.
Oh,
perhaps.
absolutely, yeah.
We also learned that Lael Wilcox is on the last lap for her round-the-world record attempt, smashing through Arizona as we record this, with just 1,000 miles to go and well up on record pace.
Yeah. You say last lap. Technically, she's kind of been on the last lap since she started, because it is only a one-lapper.
Well, maybe she should do another one, a second lap. To be honest, she's made the whole thing look quite easy. And even, dare I say it, she's made it look quite fun.
Yeah. I mean, that is what is so good about Mark Beaumont records, isn't it? Because they never look easy nor fun either.
And that's next level type 2 fun, isn't it? When it takes 78 days to get to the fun bit. Probably about time now that we got onto our coffee machine chat from this morning.
Oh, absolutely. Your levels of anticipation must be peak right now. So this morning, Dan and I were contemplating the current state of the cycling industry. Okay, so last year, the bike industry was in absolute turmoil, wasn't it? Bikes permanently on massive sales, companies going bankrupt, laying off staff, profit warning after profit warning. It was an apocalypse.
It was. What we should admit, though, is that our coffee machine chat, it was quite brief, wasn't it? Because we didn't know the answer. We were just guessing, which wouldn't make for a great show. So we thought we'd catch up with Wayne Brown again, the CEO of Shift Active Media, a communications agency dedicated to the cycling industry, who, as I said, we spoke to just under a year ago, I think it was, on the state of the industry. Is the industry back on an upwards trend? Is it currently at the bottom and about to make a reversal? Or is it still in free fall?
Right, Wayne, we caught up probably, 10 months ago. I've done some ironing since then. Hope you appreciate that.
Yes.
But you were saying that you thought this would be like a 2-year blip in the industry. So technically then we're kind of halfway through. What do things look like now? Are we at the bottom and improving, or are things still going to get worse?
I don't see it getting markedly worse from here. I think things are now kind of levelling out, stabilising. I think there's a kind of popular expression in the cycling industry, which is survive till 25. And so most businesses and brands now are just thinking, how do we get through this kind of, the end of this tricky period into next year, where we hope that things will get a little bit more, stable and predictable.
Okay, and so what is the reason why 2025 looks like it's the light at the end of the tunnel? Like, what are the challenges that people are still facing?
The major challenge that people are still facing is just the amount of stock that actually businesses had. So you've had some drop in consumer demand. I would say that'd be more like 5 or 10% decline in demand.
And is that because it's off the back of COVID, where everyone bought bikes, or is it off the back of 2019 kind of levels?
Well, it's coming back to something that's more appropriate to 2019 levels. I think it was coming off. It's a really dynamic situation. It was coming off of a number of different factors. Yes, there was a rapid spike in participation because there was nothing else to do. There was people had more disposable income because there was lots of sort of government measures that were meaning that they had more cash. So all of that flooded in, and therefore then they're just into a replacement cycle where somebody who bought a bike in 2020 or 21 is unlikely to buy one again until 2024 or 25.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Even longer, I guess. In some instances.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, bikes last a long time, right? Especially if you don't ride one very much. Now, we sort of speculated as to whether there would be a lot of bankruptcies over this past 12 months. That hasn't really come to pass yet, has it? But you do see in the headlines week in, week out that bike brands are cutting costs, whether that's laying staff off or reducing the number of products that they're selling. Do you think that's enough to get people through? Or do you think that we are going to see a few brands disappearing over the next 12 months?
I mean, I think thankfully, and obviously a lot of people's kind of roles have been affected, and it has been a really difficult time for the industry overall. But I think rather than seeing a sort of huge wave, it has remained as a kind of trickle of kind of companies, I guess, getting into financial difficulties in some cases, then going into liquidation or bankruptcy. And I think that I don't see that getting, increasing in the number, but actually probably staying the same and actually perhaps in slight declining. I think that companies bike brands have kind of got their business now into a better place. It's more stable, perhaps more predictable, and they've kind of, I guess, right-sized from what was perhaps some kind of more exuberant growth that they were anticipating in 21, 22 to what was kind of more stable, perhaps in line with what it was like just before the pandemic.
Yeah, and one of the things that's often talked about is the amount of stock in the market. Bike brands reducing stock levels effectively means products going on sale, right?
Yeah, I think we've seen a number of brands who've obviously have to do some pretty deep discounts in order to move the stock through the retailers. And so brands like Specialized were having kind of 40% off. We even saw back last year, buy one, get one frees, which thankfully seemed like that's now in the past. But definitely it's been a really good time for I guess riders and consumers to get out there and grab a bargain. Yeah,
I mean, that is one of the funny things, isn't it? We talk about the bike industry in crisis, but to a certain extent, it has largely been good for consumers, hasn't it, really? And when we spoke last, under the comments section under that video, many people were saying that they felt like it was self-inflicted, this bike industry crisis, simply because prices were so high. Bikes are getting more and more expensive, shoes, helmets, everything, really. Would you agree with that?
I can certainly see how some people have felt that way. I mean, the cost of bikes has increased and they've gone up faster than the rate of inflation. But principally, that's been driven by increases in technology. So we've seen, obviously, like better forms of carbon, kind of more obviously hydraulic disc brakes, wireless shifting, group sets, even 3D printed components. All of those things are what have really contributed, along with some of the materials required to make those bikes increasing in cost as well, and shipping. That's the things that have kind of really pushed up the prices. So I can understand that people feel that way, but overall I don't think that that's the real reason, because people actually, at the higher end of the bike market, the most expensive bikes are the ones that are actually selling the best right now. There is an element of self-infliction, though, I think, within the industry, and that is the amount of stock that the industry was carrying principally into 2022, 23. And that was basically where they over-predicted the amount of bikes that would be sold in that market. And they didn't just do it by 5 or 10 or 20%. They actually did it by 4 or 5 times the number of bikes required. Wow. So it was a huge challenge to, if we'd have seen that rate of growth that they saw, almost predicting that to go into 22, 25, then, maybe they could. But it was just unrealistic to sell that many level bikes. Now, hindsight is 2020. I certainly wasn't telling people that things were going to change that dramatically that quickly. But that has definitely been one of the challenges that the industry is now just working its way through.
Yeah, you can see, I guess, as well, why the problem of bikes being expensive is only getting worse. Because if those are the bikes that are selling, right, the brands that are doing well are the high-end brands, then more people are just going to want to make more high-end products, right? So it's kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy too.
It certainly is. There's only a limited amount of brands that I think can occupy that really premium space. And so I think, but at the same time, like all bikes, for instance, e-bikes, that's increased the average price of every bike. And so there, everyone wants to pile into those categories which are kind of have higher selling prices. And that means there's actually been probably a bit of oversupply in those areas. And everyone's banking on the same categories in order to deliver that growth. And not everyone is going to be able to grow.
Okay, so to recap then, essentially for consumers, now is still a good time. For the bike industry, there's still a rocky few months ahead, but people are broadly optimistic.
Yeah, I think we're optimistic. Like we said before, I think participation is higher than it was at the end of 2019. So there has been new people coming into bikes. Not as many as during the pandemic, but still it's kind of come out better for it. And with governments also backing cycling around the world, and certainly we've just seen the EU declaration on cycling, which shows how critical it is to both their environmental and economic agenda. I think that they will invest in infrastructure. They'll also invest in schemes that help people get into riding bikes. And so there's kind of still a huge future in cycling. And I think people will always find money to indulge their passions. And so at the enthusiast end of the market, yeah, it's definitely a good time still to be in cycling because there's lots of great product coming through and there's still lots of bargains to be had.
Great stuff. Thanks, Wayne. That was cool.
Thanks.
See you in a year.
Okay, yeah.
Well, aside from my beautifully lined t-shirt available in the GCN shop, what do you make of that, Dan?
A couple of really interesting points, yet again, I thought, from Wayne, because whilst he says it's about to pick up in 2025, or at least that's his theory, it did sort of imply that the best time to be a cycling consumer actually is now, whilst the cycling industry is not doing very well, because so many of these products are on sale still at vastly reduced prices. And presumably, once the industry is back on its feet again, those sales are going to be less frequent and you're going to be paying more for the products.
It does feel a bit like that, doesn't it? There's like a split. The state of the bike industry is not actually related to being a cyclist, really,
no.
Is it? Also, interesting, the point about how the high-end market is kind of propping everyone up.
Oh, yeah, that surprised me in many respects. I mean, we know there's lots of complaints, possibly quite rightly, about the high-end bikes and how much they cost, even the medium-term bikes. Maybe we should be thankful for dentists the world over for propping up the whole cycling industry.
Well, now there is a take. I mean, what do you lot think at home? I mean, should we be thankful for dentists, for things other than looking after our teeth? Or is it a case of bikes are simply too expensive and that's why the low to mid-range bikes are still not selling? Or just the fact that those bikes are so good, if you own one, you kind of don't need to buy another one.
That is a good point. Obviously a lot of people bought during COVID, and since they're not people that are riding maybe even every week, those bikes are going to last quite a long time. So hopefully once things do bounce back, that might coincide with a time when lots of people that did buy bikes in that period need another one.
Yeah, get involved in the comments section.
And now it's time for Cycling Shorts.
Cycling Shorts now. I'm going to start with the news that Ford, as in Ford Motor Cars, have just launched 2 new e-bikes using familiar names to entice petrol heads. They have the Bronco and the Mustang.
Apparently they will ignite your senses and stir your soul with distinct styling, power, handling and performance.
Wow.
Unusually for bikes, one size fits all. Being designed for the US market, they can do 28 miles per hour and they cost $4,500.
There you go. Well, they definitely do look distinctive, I think, and kind of cool as well that a car giant is making bikes. Kind of crap that they look more like cycling repellents than anything else. Probably not going to convert people into lifelong cyclists. But anyway, moving on. Ultra runner and all-round inspiration Killian Jornet has just completed a mind-blowing adventure, climbing all 82 4,000-metre peaks in the Alps in just 19 days.
75,000 metres of ascent and 1,200 kilometres. Climbing, yes. Running, yes. But also bike riding in between, making it one giant human-powered adventure.
He is some boy,
He is.
Killian Jornet. I enjoy following him on Instagram. He posts some bonkers stuff. Anyway, sticking with climbing, albeit exclusively on 2 wheels now, the annual Mount Washington Hill Climb was on a couple of weeks back.
This year was the 51st edition, and 500 people raced up the 7.6 mile route, which averages 12%.
The women's race was won by a Zwift racing legend, Kristin Kulczynski. Remember her from the Zwift Racing League? Yeah. And she broke the course record despite riding on a flat tyre for the last 3 minutes with sealant spraying everywhere, she said.
Impressive. Her time, 1 hour and 6 minutes. Andrew Feathers just booked his tickets, ready for next year.
Yeah. From highs now to lows, and some disappointing news from here in the UK. The Department for Transport's annual travel poll has revealed that whilst as a nation the UK is walking further than ever, we're also driving more and cycling less.
Seems like the COVID bubble is continuing to burst, unfortunately.
Yeah.
People in England averaged 47 miles over 2023, which is a drop of 17% versus 2022.
Yeah.
Cycling, that is.
And that is in spite of Dan here increasing his annual cycling total by over 1,000 kilometres already this year.
Yeah, but this was 2023 that we're talking about, the stats. So in 2022, I did 444 kilometres, and in 2023, I did just 186.7.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of your fault, isn't it, really?
That could be, yeah.
Yeah, you could have skewed the national average if you just... Anyway, never mind. It's not the kind of direction of trend that we want to see.
Not really.
Is it really? So investment, I think, in infrastructure is probably the only way to go to reverse this trend. So let's hope that investment comes.
Do you think it could be the rise of gravel riding that means that people are riding fewer kilometres over the same amount of riding time?
Oh, I see. Well, that is a good point, actually, isn't it? You think Department for Transport should start measuring hours?
Yeah.
Like if you're training.
Yeah. I mean, we're all getting older as well, aren't we? So average speeds are going down.
Yeah. Anyway, let us know your thoughts. Some more crappy news now, just whilst we're down in the doldrums. The Shimano Experience Center in the Netherlands, which I had the pleasure of visiting earlier this year, has had 6 of its, frankly, priceless and historical bikes stolen, including a Van der Poel Canyon Air Road CFR World Championship Edition, an Alain Philippe Specialized S-Works, and a Peter Sagan Specialized S-Works bench.
Sucks, doesn't it? To put it lightly.
So sucks.
As always, folks, never buy stolen bikes. They'll only come back to bite you in the end.
True.
I always wonder what they do with them. It's a bit like very rare art. Like, who buys it? Because everyone's going to know it's stolen if they see it.
Well, I mean, it's true, isn't it?
But
if you're like a massive collector, I guess you could argue that just having one of those bikes in a little room somewhere, maybe that's
no one
enough.
ever sees.
Yeah, but at some point you'd be like, oh, I quite want to flog that Alain Philippe S-Works, but then you can't really, can you? Because everyone's like, hold on a minute, was that the one that...
Even if you sell it on the black market, the next person that acquires it has the same situation. Anyway, get on to a quick bit of racing news.
Wait a minute, sorry, just what happens if someone's just like, oh, why don't we just respray it and then sell it on for like $1,000? And then it's no longer Alain Philippe's bike anymore. It's just like...
Imagine you're out riding, you get a few stone chips. There's a bit of a rainbow under here. What's this bike? Right, we'll get on to racing news now.
Yes.
A bit of racing news as the World Mountain Bike Champs took place in Andorra last week. We're going to stick to the cross-country races, which were shortened, weren't they, on Sunday, due to an impending storm that was brewing in the area.
Yeah. Knock-on effects of which, perhaps the biggest, was that the women's under-23 race was combined with the elite women's race, which is 100% not ideal. However, on the flip side, it did present a great opportunity to see how the young pretenders would fare against the best in the world. And actually, it turns out very well. For 19-year-old Canadian Isabella Holmgren, she took her 4th rainbow jersey of her short career. Despite having to start near the back, she also would have been 5th in the elite race if only she'd been eligible.
So good.
Yeah.
That race was dominated from start to finish by Puck Pieterse of the Netherlands, fresh off the back of a stage win and 11th overall at the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. We should say, actually, that Zwift have extended their partnership with ASO to sponsor the Tour de France Femme for an extra year. So well done to them.
That's cool, isn't
from
it?
the offset. In the men's cross-country race, Alan Hatherley took his and South Africa's first ever rainbow jersey in an elite XCO World Championships. So he countered an attack from the Olympic silver medalist, I think, Victor Koretzky, on the final lap, whilst Olympic champion Tom Pidcock, he had to settle for 3rd place in the bronze medal.
He did. I felt a bit sorry for Koretzky getting silver at the Olympics and silver at the Worlds. But also, it did make me wonder, right? So seeing as fellow Olympic champ Pauline Ferrand-Prévot also looked a little bit off at best. I wondered whether Pinarello might have put a little bit too much gold into their custom painted bikes. Did they accidentally have like really heavy bikes?
I mean, that would be an excuse that nobody has used before, wouldn't it? The bike was too heavy because of all the gold.
I mean, they did look blooming cool, so it kind of didn't really matter, did it? Right, we're going to finish with 2 bits of shoe news. Yes, shoe news. Stick with us here, okay? First up, Shimano have just secured a patent, bizarrely, quite frankly, for some wireless self-adjusting cycling shoes.
See, it sounds like the product that none of us knew we needed, doesn't it? So they're mountain bike shoes, and it's the cleat that is self-adjusting, apparently kind of moving around on the shoe based on what would be the most efficient position for it to be in various types of terrain and various gradients.
Now, the question is there a more efficient position for different terrains and gradients? Frankly, I think I would quite like mine to stay where I put it.
That's a point well made, I would say. But in answer to your question, I don't know if there are more efficient positions. Anyway, the other shoes we're going to talk about look far more standard. So standard, in fact, you would be forgiven for not knowing their cycling shoes at all.
Which is precisely the reason for their design. So Chapter 3 launched the Transit shoes last week, which are designed to look just as cool off the bike as on it, much like Dan here.
Thanks.
Yeah, they have...
I wasn't designed very well.
They've got a 2-hole mountain bike cleat design, hidden and recessed far enough into the sole so they don't make that annoying, like, clinky-clanky noise as you walk around on hard ground.
You do get used to that, don't you? But it is still annoying.
Oh, it'd be a bit embarrassing walking into, like, an office, wouldn't it? If it's got, like, a marble floor and you kind of go in, like,
yeah,
ting,
definitely.
ting, ting. Yeah.
I think they look pretty cool. Perfect pub shoes, I would say.
Well, yeah. Apparently, they're comfortable to walk in. I mean, anything's a good pub shoe for you, isn't it? Stiff enough for good performance on the bike, as well, they say. So I guess you'd get to the pub quickly.
Could do, couldn't I?
Yeah.
And trendily, but perhaps not back from the pub that quickly.
Well, you shouldn't ride back from the pub, Dan, if you know.
No, but you can walk in them, that's the point.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, yeah, just push your bike.
Shoulder the bike.
Cyclocross training, that would be. Before we move on any further, should we quickly...
Yeah, I've been hiding them down there for ages.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, it's been a bit uncomfortable, actually, underneath the desk.
Yeah. This is the 5th GCN Ahu edition jersey. Limited edition, as we keep reminding you through all of them so far. So if you'd like one, you're going to have to get in quick, because once they are gone, they are gone. This is sort of Spanish red heat version, isn't it? Apt if you're watching live cycling right now, but perhaps less apt here in the UK where it's raining today.
Yes, indeed. I've got a pair of shorts attached to this one. They are separate pieces. You save 10% apparently if you buy a bundle, so shorts and jersey together. But yeah, they've been super popular. Like, they've all sold out so far, haven't they? So
they have,
do
yes,
genuinely mean it. Get quick.
Genuinely need to be quick.
That's proper cool. And then also this one, it's a new design. Not seen that one before.
No, but it's part of a huge number of designs you've got over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, where you'll also find this one, and indeed the one that Sai is sporting down. I've noticed a bit of lunch down mine. Hopefully it's below desk level, so no one has been able to see it throughout the video so far. But yeah, as ever, your support is massively appreciated by everybody here at GCN. So if you've already made a purchase, huge thanks to you. If you'd like to support us, that would be a great way of doing so.
We'll also the memberships as well. We've not talked about them for a little while on the GCN show, but yeah, so becoming a member of GCN's YouTube community is brilliant. So there's 3 different membership tiers. The middle and the top tier one gives you access to the back catalogue of GCN Plus documentaries, which have been so sorely missed since GCN Plus was shuttered by our former parent company. So yeah, I can't remember how many are up there now. Well, at least 50.
Yeah, well over 50.
Pretty sure there's more. So yeah, if you haven't seen them, they're pretty blooming good, aren't they? Even if we say so.
They are great, yes. It's also been great just seeing the support from people who have parted with money to become members, because you can see who the members are when they make a comment underneath any of the videos, and there's a lot of them, so thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Hack / Bodge of the week now. The first one this week comes in from Andy Wolford. Tired of expensive chain waxing tools? I mean, I don't know about you, Si, but I am really tired.
Yeah.
Use those spare cable lengths left over after cutting a gear cable to length, a bit of 4mm dowel or some stick, and a couple of bits of silicone tube. Bingo!
Well, there you go. I mean, I've got to say, right, I'm not a chain waxer.
Same.
But this, whatever this is,
Chain waxing tool, obviously.
No, but it's not called that. It's a chain waxing swisher, he said. Looks really neat. Looks really neat. What I was wondering is whether or not you could actually get similar results from, wait for it, a zip tie. A reusable zip tie.
Quite possibly.
I think you might be able to. I'm just going to put it out there. But maybe
I think this does look neater than a reusable zip tie, though, doesn't it? We should probably describe it for the podcast listeners.
Oh, good point, yeah. It looks a bit like an octopus, actually, when you see it in photo form there. But it's like a...
Yeah, don't need to carry on. I think that perfectly describes it.
Basically, it's an octopus, yeah. No, so you've got your chain all kind of curled up and then a cable that runs through it so that you can dip the chain into the wax in a sort of like more dense area. Does that make sense?
But is the wax really hot? Can you not just use your hands?
No, it's melted wax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
I don't know what temperature its melting point is.
We should do the GCN Tech Show together, shouldn't we?
You should probably watch some video about how to wax chains. My issue...
I don't need to.
Well, I think chain waxing is great, but it feels quite time... Like...
Well, don't get me wrong, like if I was in peak condition once more for whatever reason, then I would be looking to wax my chain for further advances, marginal gains.
You would, yeah.
I mean, but all I need to do is ride another hour next week and I'd probably gain the same amount of watts as the wax chain would gain me.
You would, yeah.
Although that is an hour, I guess. Depends how long the waxing of the chain takes.
Well, I mean, arguably, probably that amount of time. Yeah, anyway, never mind, we
It's been a
digress.
long time. I'm saying hack.
Yeah, I'm saying hack, like, looks neat. I
Does
like
look
it. Looks like an octopus. Even two little eyes, look. Okay, next up from Dean Thornton, mowing the spiral at the Thompson Factory Trail, getting maximum mileage. Right, this is a video, so let's play it, shall we? That looks mildly sketchy. Towing a lawnmower behind your bike.
Why is he towing the lawnmower backwards?
Well, you wouldn't push it in front of you, would you, if you were riding a bike?
Why not? It almost looked like it had that forward motion wheel setting as well, so he's going against the...
I don't know, that's lawn mowing skills I haven't got. I mean, I would have thought maybe if you tow it behind you so you don't have to like grab hold of it, that'd be better. Could you just attach it? Maybe you could attach it to your new saddlebag, the really expensive one.
We've forgotten to describe, yeah, we could do, yes. We've forgotten to describe for podcast viewers, but I think you probably get the gist. Someone's just trying to pull a lawnmower whilst riding their bike, but they're pulling it backwards. This was Dean Thornton, by the way.
Dean, I think that's probably a bodge, personally.
I said bodge, and I think Dean sent it in knowing it was a complete bodge as well, so he shouldn't be too disappointed. C. Claire's wrote in saying, found another use of my tri-bars and we needed some baguettes in France whilst on a ride. It's the only place where you do need baguettes, isn't it? I need to get a baguette because I'm in France.
True.
Could rest arms over the baguettes, but in version 2.0, I think a cover with elastic bungees would help keep them in place and allow easier access to the brakes. Also, having the baguettes lengthways would be better for aero gains.
Well, that is true, definitely. So these baguettes are lying across a pair of tri-bars between the elbow extensions and the bits that you hold on to. The thing I'm worried about is because they're on
very concerned about this.
Well, I am, yeah, because, I mean, baguettes are sharp, aren't they? Like that top section is really, like, it's quite aggressive, isn't it? Like, it's aggressive bread. It's not a coincidence that it's called pain in France. So I would either flip them the other way up, or I'd have to wear like arm warmers or something so I didn't get scratched forearms.
And then sweat and dirt wouldn't seep from your arms into the baguettes before you.
I mean, I don't mind that bit. It was more just the cuts on my forearms.
I did have a baguette injury at the very beginning of GCN, if you remember,
Yes,
where Matt Stevens and I did a baguette jousting piece for a video.
Yeah.
I genuinely had quite a bad cut on one of my fingers. It's recovered now, I think.
That is lucky. Yes, it is very lucky. I'm going to say probably bodge for that one.
Yeah, I'd say bodge as well. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, Bodge, sorry about that one.
Resubmit when you've got the elastic bungees to keep them in place.
Yeah.
I might give it a hack then.
And then last one, this was sent in by UDX629.
Oh my word.
Cheap, self-made cooling vest to be worn under your jersey. So this is 2 sponges, thin household sponges with some ribbon joining them that you put over your shoulders and then put your jersey on over the top. The thinking being, says UDX629, they hold water. So basically when you get them wet, they stay wet and keep the water next to your skin, thereby giving you the cooling effect.
When we first set eyes on this, I think both of us were initially thinking Bodge within about 0.1 of a second.
Yes.
But having discussed and thought more about it for the last couple of hours, we did decide that maybe this could be quite effective, especially if you soak them in water and then left them in the freezer, then let them thaw slightly before you want to head out on your very hot ride. They probably would be quite cool
Slushies.
against the skin, wouldn't they?
So I thought
I wouldn't want anyone to take a picture of me before I put my cycling jersey over the top there. It basically looks like a sort of very cheap bib that's for your back and your front.
I think we saw when you did your first journey back to health and fitness video that no one should take a picture of you without his cycling jersey on anyway, mate. But no, I've thought of a problem with this, right? If you live in a humid country where the sweat doesn't evaporate, you just get wet, I don't think that's going to work. So here in the UK, I can't see that working because it's all, like, when it's warm, you're just dripping in sweat when you're riding, or at least I am. So
yeah,
so I think it would only work in dry countries.
Or would work for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Before it then heats you up.
So actually, I think we were right when we first said Bodge. I'm going to get, sorry, UDX629. I'm not investing.
Okay. Well, we're happy to be proven otherwise. If you would like to write in and say it works for longer than 3 minutes, or it works till then, yeah, I'm happy to be persuaded otherwise. But I'll also join site and say Bodge for that. Thanks as ever for all of the submissions that you have made over the last week. A reminder, it's upload.globalcyclingnetwork.com. We do love this part of the show.
I hope podcast listeners do as well, because we put a lot of effort into you guys.
Yeah, it's lengthened the show by a good sort of 3 or 4 minutes.
It absolutely has, yeah. If you don't listen to GCN Show as a podcast, by the way, but are interested, it's available from all the usual podcasty places, isn't it?
It is.
It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Camelback water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below. We'll pick a winner next week. Starting with the results first, this was the photo we gave you last week from the aforementioned steamy Vuelta España. And it was a picture of a fire hydrant or some such spraying into the peloton.
It was indeed, which was much welcome, I would imagine. The winner this week is Tim Barlow, who put caption, "No, don't open that GCN Camelback bottle. It's still got champagne in it."
See what we did there, Tim? It actually does, I believe. I think it's gone flat now, isn't it? But, you know, it still smells all right.
Does it?
I mean, I wouldn't drink it, but
You'd smell it.
yeah, no, it's flat, unfortunately. But
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
well
what
done to Tim. Send us a message on Facebook, including your address. We'll get a bottle out to you. This week's picture is also from the Vuelta, but very different weather conditions on a mountain. This is Ben O'Connor, who's still in the red jersey, actually. At least he was as of today. We're recording this on the Monday.
He's not racing today, is he? He's going to hold on to it today.
Well, that's what I mean, but by the time the show comes out, there will have been another stage.
Oh, it's Tuesday, another Bifter stage.
Yeah, Lagos de Covadonga.
Ah, one of the Bifterest of all. Okay.
Anyway, it is basically Ben O'Connor riding up a mountain into a cloud. So I will get you started. O'Connor rues missed opportunity.
See what you did there, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Missed. Lovely. Very good. I'm actually rooting for Ben.
Same.
I don't know why, because ordinarily someone sneaking a load of time in a breakaway is not how I like Grand Tours to be won. But he just seems like a really nice chap, doesn't he?
He does indeed, although he has removed his Twitter account after a backlash from his comments after AU2R Decathlon blocked the road and Rich Carapaz got knocked off.
A backlash on Twitter.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
What a surprise. There you go.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Oh well, it's probably the reason why he did better on Sundays, because he's not on Twitter anymore.
Probably, yes.
There we go. Right, get involved in the comments section down below. We'll pick a winner next week.
we have pulled out more of our favourite comments from the last 7 days' worth of videos, which we'll go through before telling you what's coming up on the channel this week. Starting with a few underneath last week's show, Aussie Stew wrote in saying, as a society, we have been conditioned to just accept when motorists break rules. Every day I see cars speeding, running red lights, changing lanes without signalling. There's nowhere near the level of vitriol towards this compared to when a cyclist does it. Which is a good point.
It is a good point. I don't know whether that excuses cyclists who do break the law, though, does it? It's kind of that thing about like, well, you do it. Like, yeah, some of us do it, but you do it as well. And that's not really... I don't know. I genuinely do think that cyclists have got to watch out, as in like as a collective for the bad apples that give us a bad name. Anyway, there we go. But yeah, take your point, Stu. Werticus, this was in reference to us trying to decide whether or not it was better to run over a squirrel or be hit by a cow. He said, I don't think I'd take a cow over a squirrel. 2 squirrels have sacrificed themselves twice trying to end my career, and cows have not. So yeah, I mean, that is a good point.
Oh dear.
Squirrels are stupid, aren't they? I nearly took one out on Friday.
Did you?
It survived. Yeah, it changed its mind.
Did you nearly take a cow out?
No, thankfully. Oh no, I did actually. Yeah, when we were filming the gravel bike versus mountain bike video the other day, I was like going down a section of trail, and fortunately I saw a cow head poking out of the bracken in time. It did take quite a bit of effort to get away from said cow.
Moving on.
Yes.
This one from Blah Blah 5604. Regarding the 20 mile per hour speed limit interfering with a race, I feel like on a closed route during a race, you could go faster than the speed limit. I don't see F1 cars doing 20 miles per hour in the Monte Carlo Grand Prix during their annual race.
True. Quite a lot of health and safety goes into the Monaco Grand Prix, doesn't it? Which you probably won't get on your average bike race. It takes a lot to shut down a road.
Is the Junior Tour of Wales on closed road, or do you have to stick to the left-hand side?
It's a rolling thing, isn't it? I think.
It is rolling road closure, is it? I can't remember. It's that long ago I did it.
I think it is just left-hand side of the road, isn't it?
I seem to remember.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so no, you can't. And it's not the bike riders, is it? It's the following cars that rattle through at 50 mile an hour, as we probably said last week. Anyway, can we prove that gravel riding is harder than mountain biking? BT Cycle actually pointed out said cow and said, I like how the cow kept me in check. It did. Yes, lots of cows up there. It was quite terrifying filming, actually.
You guys get out of there,
I was, yeah.
Underneath, the world's strongest cyclists don't race bikes. This is the America's Cup, of course. Lars Thordarson wrote, this gives so much hope for 90 kilo plus cyclists that we have value too. It does.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what we learned, wrote, 500 watts for a minute. Hey, I can almost do that. He said an hour. Weeps aggressively. Yeah, 500 watts for an hour.
Yes, yeah. And then I had a chuckle at this one as well from Aaron War. It's not really fair comparing the cost of high-end yachting to triathlon. Triathletes can sink way more money for that for less results. The expense of the America's Cup there, it's dawned on me, right? So I've been watching it avidly for the last couple of weeks. It's been great. But 1 or 2 teams are going to be eliminated quite soon before we get to the knockout stages.
Right.
And so that will literally have been like 2 or 3 years of work for
2 weeks.
2 weeks, basically. All of that money, and then that's it.
Crikey.
And the teams just disband. That's it, they're over.
Blimey.
I know, it's like astonishing. So anyway, still rooting for American Magic. You go, guys.
Surely at some point they get the band back together and sell tickets on Ticketmaster.
Well, they might do, yeah.
Fans of the America's Cup.
For the next one, that's true.
Trying cycling's new miracle training has blown my mind. This was the heat training that Connor put himself through. Anton Kessie wrote, I always do heat training because my indoor setup just has not got enough cooling. Bigsy76, but thanks for not showing Connor using a rectal thermometer.
I couldn't believe it, right, when this scientist was talking about rectal thermometers and Connor didn't even flinch. I was there going, like, what? How can you not acknowledge that this guy's advocating that we all use rectal thermometers?
I thought a bit of a smile came across his face, actually.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah. I just think I'd draw the line at that, to be honest with you, if I had to do that before heat training.
Is that the only way to measure core?
No, not at all. There's a Core, the brand, do heat sensors, don't they? Like, they're external ones. Yeah, perhaps not quite as accurate as a rectal one, I don't know. But nevertheless, it was...
Sounds like the better option though, doesn't it?
it does. Mildly less invasive. What do you do with it once you finish training? Do you have to clean it?
Yeah, put it in the dishwasher. In the spoon wrap bit.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Darling, what's this?
Yeah. Right.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's tell everyone what's coming out this week.
Yeah, let's
Nothing
do
quite
that.
as exciting as that.
No.
On Wednesday, is this the ultimate upgrade for Zwift?
Not rectal thermometer.
No.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah, it's a first look at the Zwift Ride, their smart bike that is, half the price of every other smart bike out there. So worth checking that one out. On Thursday, it is what is the best bag for commuting? So for a lot of us, it's kind of all about getting back to work / getting back to school, isn't it, at the minute?
It's that saddlebag we mentioned at the start of the show.
Yeah, the best bag for commuting is a £100 saddlebag. Yeah.
On Friday, the new tech that makes it harder to steal bikes.
Still e-bikes, this one. So anti-theft devices are apparently the #1 requested feature on e-bikes. Taking a look at Bosch's latest features, which are pretty darn cool. On Saturday, Andrew Feather has got a challenger. Oh yes, so the world's best amateur climber has got a competition. Can he take Andrew Feather's KOMs? That's the question. And then on Sunday, to put on too fine a point on it, Hank and Connor are up to some bonkers stuff, basically. So tune in on Sunday for some of that.
Yeah, no thermometers involved there either. No. All right, thanks very much for watching, everyone. We will, of course, be back at the same time next week with episode 609, won't it be, of the GCN Show?
Wow, that's a good number, isn't it?